going to get started with measurements, and firstly we need to look into conversions before we do the deeper questions. So on our lesson 1, we're going to be looking at everything conversions. So metric system is used in South Africa, and we use the metric system for almost all measurements. Okay, so we start with the length. We have the length, we have or the distance, we have volume or liquid, we have weight or mass, right? Okay, so the units of measurements are used for length or distance is millimeters, centimeters, meters, and kilometers. So millimeter will be the smallest, then centimeter will be bigger than millimeter, and meter will be bigger than centimeter and millimeter, and kilometer is bigger than all three of the others, right? So the length and width of a paper would be measured in millimeters and centimeters. For example, this paper, if we were to measure the length from here to there, which is the distance from this space to this space corner here, we would use millimeters or centimeters because this is a small distance, right? But if we were to measure a dress, for example, if we're cutting a dress, then we would use meters because we would use a much longer distance for fabric, and therefore we would use meters, right? But if we were to measure the height of a person, we would measure the person as height in meters, because it's millimeters would just be agonizing, but we do use them, millimeters and centimeters, for height as well. The distance from Cape Town, South Africa, to Egypt, Cairo, is measured in kilometers. So now if we're going to measure the winding road all the way from South Africa to Egypt, we would use kilometers because, come on, millimeters are just not going to be efficient. Meters are just not going to be efficient. So what we can also do is measure in one unit and then convert it to another. And this is why we say we are in the chapter of conversions. So we can measure in millimeters and then convert to meters. Or if we find something measured in meters, but we don't have maybe a measuring tape that's in meters, we can convert that to millimeters. Same with centimeters, same with millimeters to kilometers, centimeters to meters. It can be converted. Okay. Then we have volume. Now volume is a space inside a container, like this cylindrical container. See that it's a circle at the bottom over there, right? So this container here is actually this container is circular, and it's more like it's shaped as a cylindrical container. Like think of the tank of water, for example, would be a big one that you would know a perfect example of. Okay, so this container will be measured in cubic millimeters, or the volume in this container would be measured in cubic millimeters, but whatever is sitting inside that volume completely, if it's liquid, for example, it can be measured in milliliters, and therefore we can interchange kilometers. If we have the space and there's a product inside that space, the size of the space where the product sits, we can use the millimeters and convert them to the space. For example, 400 millimeters is in this container, and then if this container is full, we can try and find the size of the container by using the product inside the container, right? So milliliters will be the smallest. As you can see, this is a small container. As you can see, this is a small container, but then you can also use liters for maybe buckets, for example, 5-liter mass, for example. A tank would have 2,500 liters, and that's when we can, that's where kiloliters start to make sense. For example, a tank of a municipality for a certain suburb or a certain rural area would be measured in kiloliters. So a baker will use milliliters to measure the milk needed for scones. A farmer may use milliliters and liters to measure milk for his market. Municipality may use kiloliters to measure the water used in their area. Again, we convert milliliters to liters to kiloliters, and the reverse as well. And then we look at weight and mass. So when it comes to weight and mass, when we're weighing, for example, 10 kilograms of flour, that would be the weight or the mass. Now, I'm not, this is not a physics lesson, so we're not going to differentiate between mass and weight. Okay. we can measure weight in milligrams, grams, and kilograms. Remember, those are the ones that we are using in our syllabus. And milligrams, of course, now as you hear, when you hear the word milli, you know that's tiny. And centigrams, I left centigrams here, and grams and kilograms, but the milligrams and the grams and kilograms are the ones that we are used to. For example, this lovely packet of golden flour is measured in kilograms. It's just 1 kilogram. You can find them in many kilograms. For example, this one is in kilograms, but the smaller ones would be maybe 500 grams, 250 grams, right? So you can also convert from grams to kilograms to milligrams, right? All right, let's try examples and be practical about this. So we're going to convert 10,000 grams of flour to kilograms. All right, so let's convert 10,000 grams of flour to kilograms. Be practical about this. Okay, so this is the method I use to remember so that I don't have to memorize too many things, but you can use whatever method. Some people talk about the multiples of 1,000, tens. I don't know. That's complicated for me. I prefer just knowing that King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk, and then I say there King Henry died by liters, meters, and grams, and then usually these are the ones that I use, and these ones as well, right? So if I were to change milliliters to kiloliters, this is milli, and this is kilo, and this is centi, right? So whenever I'm going from milli, which is the smallest, to that way, from small to big, I have to divide, and from big to small, I multiply, right? And then what I do is, if I'm converting from milli to kilo, say I'm going from milli, going that side, and I count the zeros, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 zeros. So I have to divide by a million. If I'm converting milliliters to liters, I say 1, 2, 3, and then I'm dividing by 1,000. If I'm converting grams to centigrams, then it's 1, 2, and therefore I am multiplying by 100, and that's how I do it. But you don't have to do it that way. You use whatever method is easiest for you. So you're converting 10,000 grams to kilograms. Okay, so it's grams. The 4 grams are here, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to convert them to kilograms. So I already know that we are going to divide grams to kilograms. From small to big, we divide, and then we're just going to count the zeros, 1, 2, 3 zeros. Okay, it's 1,000, and therefore the answer is 10 kilograms. Done. Okay, let's try another one. This one says, using conversion factors, convert 150,000 grams of flour to kilograms. You may use 1 kilogram is equal to 1,000 grams. As you can see, this is still the same method as this, but they've given us that 1,000 is the same as 1 kilogram is the same as 1,000 grams. So we're going to learn quickly how to use conversion factors. So they are saying we must convert 150,000 grams to kilograms, right? Okay, so I'm going to use what I know from the question. The question says use this. 1 kilogram is equal to 1,000. If you actually see this and you use this method, they won't say it's wrong, but I just want to learn how to use this, right? Okay, so this says 1 kilogram is equal to 1,000 grams. This I know, and then I write another is equal to below because I'm going to do a cross multiplication. And I said, okay, what do I have? I have grams, and therefore I write my grams below other grams. So 1,000 kilograms, 150,000 grams, and then I do not know. You can write whatever. Some people like to write X, some people like to write kilograms. I like to write unknown, and then we cross multiply, and then we'll have 1 kilogram multiplied, so that one multiplied by that one will be 150,000 grams is equal to unknown multiplied by that one, which will be unknown multiplied by 1,000 grams. And then this next part is I'm looking for the unknown, and therefore now what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at what else is here, and I find that 1,000 is multiplying unknown, and therefore I have to do the opposite of multiply by dividing. I find that this can be confusing when you're learning it at the beginning, but if you practice it, it becomes like second nature. So I'm dividing by 1,000 grams, and then that cancels that one. And then what I do is I've done this on the left, and therefore I have no choice now but to divide as well this side by 1,000 grams. And then the rest is just pressing a calculator, saying 1 times 150,000 divided by 1,000, and you get your answer, which is 150 kilograms. Done. We are going to look at example 3. So example 3 says how many 50 kilogram bags are in 350,000 kilograms. How many 50 kilogram bags are in 350,000 grams? Okay. First of all, this is in grams and this is in kilograms. I need to find these bags here, but I'm seeing that the unit of measurement is very important from now on, that you do not compare, you do not do all those things, you don't cut anything without looking at the measurements. From now on, units of measurements must be the same before we substitute in a formula, before we find out how many bags are in a large container, how many bags we can find in a container, how many boxes we can pack in a room. The units of measurements have to be the same. That should be your golden rule on this one. Just like when you're doing median, your golden rule should be arrange the data first, right? Okay. So here we're going to say we have 350,000 grams, right? I'm going to convert it to kilograms, or I can change the 50 kilograms, but I wanna stay with the 50 kilograms that I'm talking about. So I'm going to change that to kilograms by saying 350,000 grams. So now from kilograms to, now I'm going to shorten it because I'm used to using them. I can see it in my head now, the King Henry thing, right? But you can refer to it. I'm going to do it one more time, where I'm going to say King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk. This is milli, this is centi, liters, meters, and grams. There we go, liters, meters, and grams, and that is kilo. And this time we're working with kilograms, right? Okay, and grams. So we're converting grams to kilograms, and therefore we are going to divide from small to big. We are going to divide by 1, 2, 3 by 1,000, and therefore we will have 350 kilograms. Now we need to find out how many 50 kilograms are in this, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this into pieces of 50 kilograms, right? I'm going to take one 50 kilogram and cut it out there, and then I'm going to cut another 50 kilograms. Yeah, let's say this is 350 kilograms, right? I'm going to cut another 50 kilograms, then I'm going to cut another 50, then I'm going to cut another. How many can I get? So when I'm cutting like that, I do use divide. So I'm going to divide by 50 kilograms, and the number will be 7 bags, and we're done. So before we continue, I'm going to suggest that if you're still not understanding, you should go back and just rewind the video and re-watch the first few minutes before going further, because now the questions are going to get a little bit more complicated as we do them.